Introduction. Friends, if you're looking for an animated movie that breaks all the rules, smashes expectations, and grabs your attention from the very first frame, then Ne Zha, 2019, is the film you absolutely need to see. Whether you prefer it in English or in its original Mandarin with subtitles, this movie is a cinematic force of nature. And in today's video, we're going to uncover every fascinating detail about it. And hey, if this is your first time visiting our channel, don't forget to subscribe. Trust me, you won't want to miss the awesome film insights we've got lined up in future videos. We've got all the good stuff coming your way, and today's pick is nothing short of legendary. Now let's talk Ne Zha. This isn't just another animated film meant for kids. It's a visual powerhouse filled with intense action, complex emotions, razor-sharp humor, and a whole lot of heart. It's based on centuries-old Chinese mythology, but don't worry, it's been given a completely modern twist. It's fast-paced, fiery, and totally unafraid to dive deep into some very real themes like fate, identity, self-worth, and redemption. And the best part? It does all this without ever losing its energy, charm, or sense of fun. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. What is Ne Zha really about? Where can you watch it right now? Is it on streaming? Is it playing on any TV networks? Can you rent it digitally? Whether you're watching it with your family, friends, or just enjoying a solo movie night, I'll let you know the best way to experience this animated masterpiece in all its glory. We'll walk through every option so you don't miss a beat. But that's just the start. We're diving deep into the technical magic behind the film. How the animators use cutting-edge technology, bold color schemes, and dazzling 3D visuals to craft something that looks like a moving painting. Every single frame in this movie is dripping with detail. You'll see wind, fire, water, and lightning behaving like living characters. You'll feel every punch in those epic fight scenes and every tear in those emotional, quieter moments. The action choreography is so smooth it feels like watching a video game mixed with a dream sequence. It's hard to believe this was made by a relatively small team in the Chinese animation industry. But they pushed the envelope and completely redefined expectations. We'll also explore the music and sound design of Ne Zha. The score mixes traditional Chinese instruments with dramatic orchestral swells to give you chills in all the right places. Whether it's a heartbreaking backstory or a climactic battle, the music always knows exactly how to set the tone. The sound design is so meticulous that even the crackling of flames or the whirling of magical energy sounds almost tangible. Everything works in harmony to pull you right into this emotionally charged fantasy world. Let's not forget the story itself. Ne Zha follows a misunderstood child born with a cursed destiny. Everyone expects him to bring destruction, but he decides to fight against the fate that has been forced upon him. It's a story of rebellion, inner struggle, and self-discovery. It's got wit, depth, and emotion, all packed into a high-speed narrative that never slows down. I'll give you a brief review too, so you can decide if this film is your kind of adventure. Spoiler alert. If you love intense storytelling, gorgeous visuals, and unforgettable characters, you're going to love this. We'll also discuss the pre-production planning, the long animation pipeline, the voice acting process, and how much of the film's success comes down to pure creative passion. Then we'll get into the money side of things. You'll be amazed when you find out how this film was made on a relatively modest budget, and yet ended up becoming one of the highest-grossing animated films in China's history. We're talking about hundreds of millions at the box office. More than anyone expected. This was more than a film. It became a cultural event. And what about the cast? We're covering that too. Who voiced Ne Zha? Ao Bing, the parents, the gods, the demons. What did each character represent? How did the performances shape their emotional arcs? You'll find out which actors brought these animated legends to life and what kind of vocal power they delivered. Oh, And get ready for some wild trivia. Did you know it took several years just to finish the animation alone? Or that the character design for Ne Zha was totally different from traditional versions and caused a huge stir online when the first trailer dropped? Or that this movie actually sparked an entire wave of renewed interest in Chinese mythology and opened the door for a whole universe of animated films in China? And yes, we'll be unpacking the symbolism and metaphors, the deeper meanings hidden behind the characters' journeys, and the recurring visual motifs you might not notice on the first watch. Fire versus ice, fate versus freedom, chaos versus control. This film has layers, and we're peeling them back one by one. So buckle up, friends, and make sure to watch this video till the very end, because you're about to get a complete tour of one of the most impressive animated films to ever come out of Asia. And honestly, one of the most exciting movies of its decade, animated or otherwise. Whether you've seen Ne Zha already or are just hearing about it for the first time, this video is your gateway to a movie experience you won't forget. Let's dive into the world of Ne Zha and discover why this film continues to amaze audiences all over the world. Let's get started. The story of Ne Zha doesn't just unfold, it detonates. It opens with a kind of mythic setup that feels ancient and legendary, but it's delivered with the speed and swagger of a high-octane action movie. In the beginning, we're told about the celestial conflict between good and evil forces. From this tension, the powerful spirit pearl and the cursed demon orb are created. Two primal sources of magic meant to tip the balance of the world. The gods, hoping to keep order, plan to have the spirit pearl reincarnated into a human hero who will save the world, and the demon orb destroyed forever. But fate has other plans. Thanks to a scheming villain named Shun Gongbao, the two orbs are swapped in secret. The demon orb is sent into the human world, where it is unknowingly used in a spell to create the child Ne Zha. Ne Zha is born not as a savior, but as a ticking time bomb. The gods decree that he will bring chaos and must be destroyed before he turns 3. You would think the story ends there, but no. This is where it really begins. His parents, especially his mother, refuse to believe their child is evil. They raise him in hiding, hoping to delay the inevitable. His father, a local military commander, tries to suppress Ne Zha's powers with a magical bracelet, while telling the village that Ne Zha is just a normal child. But Ne Zha? He's anything but normal. He grows up wild, defiant, and full of rage. He doesn't understand why people hate him, why they fear him, why he's not allowed to play with other kids or walk freely through the town. His raw power leaks out in unpredictable, sometimes terrifying ways. He wants to be good, but no one gives him the chance. Instead of guidance, he receives suspicion. Instead of love, he gets isolation. The narrative cleverly avoids turning him into either a villain or a victim. Instead, he's portrayed as something far more complicated. A child burdened with an identity he didn't choose, trying to fight a destiny he doesn't understand. The plot deepens when we're introduced to A.O. Bing, the other child born from the celestial switch. A.O. Bing has the spirit pearl, meant for good, but he's raised by the banished dragon clan, an ancient group desperate to reclaim their former glory. A.O. Bing is their last hope, their secret weapon. He's taught to be noble, calm, disciplined, the opposite of Ne Zha in every way. But A.O. Bing is also a prisoner of expectations. He too is forced to become something he didn't choose. The film presents Ne Zha and A.O. Bing as perfect opposites, not just in personality and power, but in how society treats them. Ne Zha is condemned before he's even had a chance. A.O. Bing is celebrated, even though his future may be just as destructive. This duality is one of the film's most powerful narrative tools, constantly forcing the audience to question who the real hero is. Their eventual meeting doesn't go as planned. Instead of becoming instant enemies, there's an eerie sense of understanding between them, like two sides of the same coin. They begin to see reflections of each other in their pain, their doubt, their loneliness. But the world around them won't let them stay neutral for long. As celestial events begin to unfold, and the truth about the orb switch is slowly revealed, pressure mounts on both boys to fulfill their so-called destinies. The gods want Ne Zha gone. The dragons want Ao Bing to destroy the humans. And the humans? They just want someone to blame. As Ne Zha grows more self-aware, he begins to reject the fate he was born with. He trains harder. He questions the limits placed on him. He pushes back against the divine forces that declared him a monster. There's a brilliant scene where Ne Zha confronts his parents and the gods, declaring that his life belongs to him, not the heavens. It's a moment that hits with real emotional force. He doesn't ask to be saved. He demands the right to define his own story. Meanwhile, Ao Bing is also spiraling. He wants to do what's right, but he's shackled by loyalty to a clan that sees vengeance as justice. When their final confrontation comes, it's not just a battle of fire and ice. It's a clash of identity and will. The film builds their fight like a tragedy. Two boys, both manipulated by ancient powers, both trying to protect something they care about, both too far gone to turn back. The final showdown is epic and emotionally devastating. Mountains crumble, oceans rise, the sky literally splits. And in the middle of it all, two children try to change the future by rewriting the past. The ending doesn't deliver a perfect, shiny resolution. Instead, it offers sacrifice. It shows that breaking free of destiny isn't just about courage. It's about giving something up. What Ne Zha does in the final moments is bold, heartbreaking, and utterly unforgettable. It's not about proving the gods wrong. It's about proving to himself that he was never defined by them in the first place. The emotional weight of that decision transforms Ne Zha from a typical hero's journey into something deeper and more resonant. What makes the narrative so compelling is how seamlessly it moves between spectacle and soul. 1 minute, you're watching a gravity-defying battle with spinning talismans, dragon roars, and magic that lights up the sky. The next minute, you're holding your breath as a mother clutches her son, begging the universe to give him a chance. The story never forgets that behind all the mythical power and grand stakes, this is a tale about a child struggling to be seen for who he really is. It taps into something universal: the fear of being misunderstood, the need for acceptance, the anger at being labeled by forces beyond your control. And just when you think the film has nothing more to show you, it delivers final shots that are both haunting and beautiful. It leaves you with questions, with tears, with wonder. The story lingers. It doesn't tie everything up. It dares to be unfinished in the way that all great myths are: eternal, retold, reimagined. It ends not with closure, but with transformation. And that, more than anything, is what makes Ne Zha not just a story, but a legend. The character development in Ne Zha is like watching a lightning storm slowly build and then explode across the sky. Brilliant, unpredictable, and full of raw emotion. Every major character is layered with motivations, regrets, secrets, and emotional scars that evolve over time. This isn't a film where characters exist just to move the plot forward. No one is static. Every individual, from the celestial beings down to the villagers in the background, is impacted by the choices being made and the forces at play. The emotional depth of the characters isn't just a bonus. It is the backbone of the entire film. Let's start with Ne Zha himself, because no other character demands the spotlight quite like him. Born from the demon orb, branded from birth as cursed, monstrous, and doomed, Ne Zha is practically born into a prison made of prophecy. And the world doesn't give him a second to breathe. The moment he enters life, he's feared, hated, and avoided. He's treated like a ticking time bomb. That kind of emotional isolation from birth builds a personality that's tough, sarcastic, wild, and unpredictable. But here's the genius. Beneath all the sharp edges is a child desperately craving love and acceptance. That contradiction, between who he is and who the world says he is, fuels his journey. His anger isn't pointless. It's defense. It's heartbreak wrapped in flames. And that complexity is what makes him not just a protagonist, but a fully realized person with an evolving soul. His transformation isn't just about learning to control his powers. It's about learning to control his identity. Not letting others define who he is. Not letting fate write his ending. And when he finally stands up and says, "I am the master of my own destiny," it lands like a thunderclap, not because it's a cool line, but because we've watched him earn it. Now contrast that with A.O. Bing. He's elegance and restraint. The chosen one, the child of the spirit pearl. Raised by the exiled dragon clan, he carries the burden of an entire people's redemption. His development is quieter than Ne Zha's, more internalized, but no less tragic. He's been told he's the hope of his race, that he must rise above emotions and personal desires to fulfill a greater purpose. So he wears a calm face. He says the right things, but underneath it all is doubt, fear, and loneliness. He doesn't want to destroy anyone. He doesn't want to become a villain. But the pressure on his shoulders is suffocating, and the moment he starts to break, it's devastating. Watching A.O. Bing wrestle with that internal storm is heartbreaking, because unlike Ne Zha, who lashes out, A.O. Bing caves in. He doesn't explode. He implodes. And when the two of them finally clash, not just physically but emotionally, it's one of the most powerful character moments in the film. They aren't fighting because they hate each other. They're fighting because neither of them knows how to escape the roles they were given. They're not enemies. They're reflections of each other. Fire and ice. Fate and freedom. And the character arcs don't stop with the boys. Take Ne Zha's father, Jing. On the surface, he's the strict, duty-bound military commander. But underneath that armor is a man in conflict with everything he stands for. His job is to protect the village, but his heart is torn between duty and love. When he discovers that his son is the incarnation of the demon orb, he makes the painful choice to lie. To the village, to Ne Zha, and even to himself. He wants to save his son by controlling him, hiding the truth, keeping him on a leash. But that backfires. Ne Zha doesn't need protection. He needs honesty, freedom, and faith. Jing's arc is one of the most underrated in the film, because it's a slow, quiet climb from fearful father to a man who finally accepts that love sometimes means letting go. By the end, he doesn't just stand behind his son. He stands with him. That shift is massive, and it adds a whole new dimension to their relationship. Then there's Ne Zha's mother, Lady Yin. If Ne Zha is the fire and Jing is the stone, she's the heart. She doesn't care what prophecy says. She doesn't care what the gods or the villagers believe. She sees the boy, not the orb, not the fate, not the destruction. She sees his pain, his loneliness, his potential. And her love is unconditional. She fights for him in a way that's soft but fierce, always believing that he can choose his own path. Her love isn't flashy, but it anchors the story emotionally. Every time she appears on screen, the chaos calms. You see in her eyes the weight of loving a child the world has rejected. Her character doesn't need a big arc. Her consistency is her power. Even the supporting characters refuse to be flat. Tai Zhenren, Ne Zha's quirky master, could have been just comic relief. And yes, he's got his jokes and silly antics. But he's also deeply invested in Ne Zha's future. He trains him not because it's his job, but because he sees something in him. His growth is subtle, less about change and more about revealing layers of wisdom beneath the goofiness. He becomes the kind of mentor who guides without pushing, who trusts without demanding, and who forgives mistakes because he remembers what it means to be misunderstood. And finally, you have the gods and villains, like Shun Gongbao, the bitter, conniving immortal who sets the whole orb-switching chaos into motion. He's not evil just for the sake of it. He's bitter because he's been overlooked, rejected by the gods in favor of Tai. His manipulation of fate isn't just vengeance, it's desperation to prove himself. That adds a tragic edge to his villainy. He isn't just scheming, he's reaching for relevance in a divine system that discarded him. He doesn't just stir trouble for fun. He wants to reshape the story to make himself matter. And that makes him dangerous in a completely different way. What makes all of this so satisfying is how interconnected the characters are. No one is isolated. Every transformation, every act of growth or failure, directly impacts someone else. The relationships are like dominoes. When one character changes, it causes a chain reaction across the entire cast. Ne Zha's rebellion forces his parents to confront their fears. Ao Bing's hesitation disrupts the Dragon Clan's vengeance. Li Jing's acceptance gives Ne Zha the final push to fight his fate. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Every choice ripples. Every emotion has consequence. Every bond bends or breaks under the weight of destiny. That's not just storytelling. It's master-level character work. So while Ne Zha may dazzle with its animation and action, what really keeps the audience locked in is the emotional evolution of its characters. They're not just fighting monsters and gods. They're fighting themselves, their roles, their fears, and their pasts. And that's what turns this myth into something timeless. The performances in Ne Zha go beyond delivering dialogue. They ignite the film with emotional weight, personality, and tension. In a story where nearly every character is battling fate, expectation, and identity, the voice actors have the monumental task of expressing all of that complexity without a single facial expression of their own. And somehow, they manage to do it so effectively that you forget you're watching animated characters. You hear every heartbreak, every burst of rage, every flicker of doubt, and every ounce of love embedded into every line. These actors don't just read scripts, they embody destinies unraveling in real time. Starting with Ne Zha himself, his voice actor gives a performance that practically explodes through the speakers. This isn't a soft-spoken, passive hero. This is a child born of a cursed orb, treated like a demon from day one, who has learned to punch first and talk later. And the voice actor captures all of that. Ne Zha's sarcasm, his defiance, his deeply buried pain. It's not just loudness or aggression. It's the rhythm of his delivery, the way the tone shifts mid-sentence from rage to doubt, the pauses that feel like he's swallowing grief before barking out another insult. The performance walks a tightrope. He's funny without becoming a joke, angry without becoming hateful, sad without begging for pity. He's a character who is constantly pushing the world away while secretly hoping someone pulls him closer. And you hear all of that in the voice alone. Now take Ao Bing, Ne Zha's icy counterpart. His voice performance is a masterclass in restraint. Where Ne Zha's dialogue is quick, erratic, and hot-tempered, Ao Bing's is slow, careful, and composed. You can feel the weight of generations pressing down on him through every syllable. He's calm, almost eerily so, but that calm isn't peace, it's pressure. He speaks with a kind of precision that suggests he's terrified of making the wrong move. The voice actor captures that quiet storm perfectly. When Ao Bing finally begins to crack under that pressure, when the mask starts to slip, those carefully measured words begin to tremble just enough to let you feel the human underneath the hero. And by the time he faces off with Ne Zha, you're not just hearing a battle of powers. You're hearing two different emotional philosophies clashing in real time. Lady Yin, Ne Zha's mother, gives a voice performance so full of gentle strength that it becomes one of the emotional bedrocks of the movie. There's a warmth in her tone that never wavers, even when she's heartbroken or terrified. Her love for Ne Zha pours out of every line she speaks. She's the only person in the world who sees her son without judgment, without fear, without labels. The voice actor doesn't need to shout or cry to make you feel it. She just speaks with a calm, maternal certainty that somehow softens even the film's most chaotic moments. When she reassures Ne Zha, you believe her. When she defends him, it's not just a mother's loyalty. It's a refusal to let the world crush the boy she raised. Then there's Jing, the father. His voice actor brings a completely different kind of emotional weight. He's more rigid, more guarded, and often emotionally distant. But that's not because he doesn't care. Quite the opposite. He cares too much and doesn't know how to express it. His voice is filled with conflict. The strain of being a public leader, the fear of losing his son, and the guilt of hiding the truth. His lines are delivered with tension, often clipped and tight, like someone trying to hold back a flood. But in the moments where he finally opens up, where he speaks not as a general but as a father, the shift is subtle but powerful. You hear a man breaking free from fear, choosing love over duty. That vocal journey, from control to vulnerability, is one of the most impactful arcs in the entire cast. Tianxiang, Ne Zha's eccentric mentor, might seem like the comic relief, but his performance has layers too. His voice actor walks a perfect line between absurd and sincere. One minute he's bumbling through spells, mumbling to himself, getting drunk off elixirs, and the next he's delivering heartfelt advice like a true sage. His comedic timing is razor-sharp. He knows exactly when to pause, when to draw out a ridiculous vowel, when to hit a punchline. But what makes his performance memorable is the emotional shift he's capable of. In key scenes, when Ne Zha is at his lowest, Tai's voice sheds the buffoonery and reveals a calm, ancient wisdom. That transition never feels jarring. It feels earned. He becomes a mentor not by lecturing, but by believing, and that belief is embedded in the voice, even when the words are silly. Now Shun Gongbao, the antagonist who triggers the whole celestial mess, delivers a performance soaked in bitterness and envy. He's not a loud, shouting villain. His voice is smooth, sly, and deliberately irritating in the best way. There's a passive-aggressive quality to how he speaks, like someone who thinks he's the smartest person in every room. But there's also a sadness buried under his arrogance. You can hear that his anger comes from a place of deep rejection. He wasn't chosen by the gods, and that wound festers in every smug line he delivers. It's a performance that makes you want to dislike him, but also makes you understand him. That's not easy to pull off, and it gives the story a more nuanced kind of danger. He's not just creating chaos. He's trying to rewrite his own significance in a world that overlooked him. And even the ensemble cast, the villagers, the gods, the background players, aren't phoning it in. Every single voice feels like it belongs to a living, breathing person. The villagers, who represent society's judgment, sound convincingly fearful and cruel. The gods speak with a regal indifference that adds to their detachment from human suffering. Every supporting character contributes to the emotional atmosphere. That kind of consistency doesn't happen by accident. It takes a voice director who knows how to keep every character grounded in the world of the story, no matter how small their part. There's also something truly impressive about the dynamics between characters. The way voices play off each other in emotionally charged scenes. Ne Zha and Ao Bing's conversations crackle with unspoken tension. Ne Zha and his mother's interactions glow with warmth. The awkward affection between Ne Zha and Tai feels spontaneous and earned. These relationships work not just because the writing is good, but because the actors sell every emotional beat. They make the silences feel loaded. They make the arguments sting. They make the reconciliations feel like emotional victories. It's rare to see a voice cast carry this much emotional complexity without ever being seen. Every laugh, every growl, every whisper is dialed into the emotional core of the film. And that's what makes these performances so unforgettable. They don't just support the characters. They are the characters. They breathe life into myth. They turn legends into people, and they transform a story about gods and demons into something deeply, undeniably human. The direction of Ne Zha is a masterclass in balancing epic mythology with intimate storytelling, and director Jiaozi commands this balance with the precision of a maestro conducting a symphony. The way he shapes the film's tone, mood, and narrative flow is nothing short of visionary, turning what could have been a straightforward retelling of an ancient legend into an electrifying, emotionally resonant experience that constantly keeps the audience engaged and surprised. Right from the outset, Jiaozi establishes a tone that's refreshingly unpredictable. The film flirts effortlessly with humor, tragedy, action, and philosophical reflection, often switching gears mid-scene without losing coherence or emotional impact. This tonal juggling act is a testament to the director's deft touch. For example, a scene might start with Ne Zha's wild antics and quick-fire sarcastic remarks that make you laugh, only to pivot seamlessly into a quiet moment of vulnerability where the sheer weight of his isolation hits you like a punch. The film never feels one-note or weighed down by its mythological grandeur because the director keeps the emotional heart front and center, using humor and humanity as tools to deepen the story rather than distract from it. Mood-wise, Jiaozi employs a rich visual language that feels like it's pulsing with the characters' emotional states. The early sequences, set in Ne Zha's village, are cloaked in misty, muted tones that immediately set a mood of suspicion, fear, and repression. It's almost suffocating, mirroring the way Ne Zha is trapped by prophecy and prejudice. Contrast that with scenes depicting the celestial realm, where glowing light, shimmering colors, and sweeping vistas evoke a sense of divine power, but also cold distance. This contrast is not accidental. It's a deliberate stylistic choice that visually reinforces the themes of belonging and alienation. When the film dives into action, the color palette explodes into vibrant, electric hues, making every fight feel like a thunderstorm of color and energy. The shifting moods are expertly orchestrated to keep viewers emotionally invested, while also showcasing the film's technical prowess. Shot composition and cinematography, especially in animation, require a unique kind of artistry, and here Jiaozi's work shines brilliantly. Each frame is meticulously designed to serve both narrative and emotional purposes. Wide panoramic shots showcase the scale and grandeur of Ne Zha's mythic world. The towering mountains, the sprawling village, the vast heavens, while intimate close-ups capture the smallest details, like the flicker of fear in Ne Zha's eyes or the trembling of his mother's hand. The camera moves dynamically throughout the film, matching Ne Zha's unpredictable spirit. It zips and spins during frenetic fight sequences, then slows to a thoughtful, almost meditative pace during quieter moments. These choices make the audience feel like active participants in the story, riding the waves of chaos and calm alongside the characters. Pacing in Ne Zha is another aspect where the director's skill is undeniable. The story unfolds at a rhythm that's both propulsive and thoughtful. Instead of rushing through exposition, Jiaozi uses visual storytelling, layered dialogue, and character interactions to convey background and emotional stakes efficiently without bogging down the narrative. This allows the story to build organically, and you find yourself swept up in the tension as it steadily escalates. When the final act arrives, the pacing quickens appropriately, ratcheting up the stakes with a mounting sense of urgency and impending conflict. Yet even in the middle of all this action, the director never loses sight of character development or emotional resonance. There's a careful breathing space between explosive moments that lets the story's heart beat clearly. One of the most distinctive stylistic elements of the direction is the way it reimagines character designs and world building to feel fresh and rebellious. Ne Zha's punk-inspired look, with his wild hair, dark circles, and irreverent attitude, signals right away that this isn't a traditional retelling. Jiaozi embraces this rebellious aesthetic not just in visuals, but in spirit. The film's environments, from the grimy village to the icy underwater palace of the Dragon King, are rich with texture and personality, each location evoking a distinct atmosphere that complements the characters who inhabit them. The use of symbolic imagery and color coding throughout adds layers of meaning without being heavy-handed, giving viewers extra visual clues about character motivations and thematic undercurrents. Jiaozi's narrative vision is where all these elements come together in spectacular harmony. He takes a myth that could easily feel distant or overly fantastical and makes it emotionally accessible. The story isn't just about gods and demons clashing. It's about a child's desperate fight to define himself against impossible odds. The director uses flashbacks and dream sequences not just as narrative devices, but as windows into the characters' inner worlds, revealing fears, regrets, and hopes that drive their choices. This layered storytelling adds depth and complexity, making the film rewarding to watch multiple times as new details and meanings reveal themselves. Perhaps what sets Jiaozi's direction apart the most is the emotional clarity that permeates every scene. You can sense a deeply personal investment in telling a story about identity, acceptance, and rebellion against fate. It's clear that this film isn't just entertainment. It's a message, a catharsis, and a call to courage all rolled into one. The director's ability to marry sweeping spectacle with intimate emotion means that you don't just witness a myth. You feel it, you live it alongside the characters. The final effect is a film that bursts with energy and heart in equal measure. Jiaozi's direction ensures that every frame, every scene, every character moment serves the larger purpose of telling a story that is as thrilling as it is touching. It's a delicate balancing act that few filmmakers manage to pull off in live action, let alone in animation. Yet here, through inspired vision and meticulous craftsmanship, the director has created a cinematic experience that resonates far beyond its runtime. The way Ne Zha is shaped, from its tone and mood to its pacing and style, is a testament to what passionate, fearless direction can achieve when it dares to dream big and tell a story true to the human spirit. The cinematography in Ne Zha is an absolute visual feast, an exhilarating blend of artistry and technical wizardry that elevates every scene into something memorable and meaningful. Even though it's an animated film, where the camera is virtual and every shot painstakingly crafted by artists rather than physically filmed, the way the cinematography is handled rivals some of the best live-action work you've ever seen. Director Jiaozi and his team treat the digital camera like a painter treats their brush, applying angles, lighting, and framing with intention, emotion, and flair that make you feel as if you're not just watching a movie, but stepping inside a living, breathing world. Starting with camera angles, the film never settles for anything predictable. It bursts with kinetic energy during the action sequences, where the camera zooms, pans, spins, and flips with dizzying speed, mirroring Ne Zha's wild spirit. These dynamic angles thrust the audience into the heart of the chaos, making the battles not just thrilling to watch, but viscerally immersive. You feel the rush of wind as Ne Zha twists through the air, the weight of his punches, the fire trailing behind his fists. The way the camera swoops close during moments of impact and then pulls back to reveal the grand scale of the environment makes the action pulse with excitement and scale. And yet, these energetic movements are balanced perfectly with moments of stillness where the camera holds a steady, quiet frame. These pauses allow the emotional gravity of a scene to sink in and give viewers a chance to breathe amid the storm. The film's lighting design is like another character weaving its way through the narrative, using color, shadow, and illumination to amplify the mood and deepen storytelling. The early village scenes, drenched in gray and muted tones, create a tangible sense of oppression and fear. It feels like the very air is heavy with suspicion and dread, visually representing the way Ne Zha is trapped by other people's expectations and fears. This oppressive lighting contrasts beautifully with the luminous, radiant light that bathes the heavenly realms and magical sequences. When Ne Zha's powers ignite, The screen bursts into fiery reds and oranges that dance wildly, creating a hypnotic effect that captures his inner turmoil and raw energy. These lighting shifts aren't just pretty. They're storytelling tools, guiding the audience's emotions subtly but powerfully. Framing choices throughout the film add even more depth to the storytelling. The filmmakers frequently use close-ups and tight framing to convey Ne Zha's isolation and internal struggle. In some scenes, the camera lingers on the smallest facial details. Eyes narrowing in anger, lips trembling with doubt, a single tear sliding down a cheek, drawing you intimately close to his emotional world. On the other hand, wide shots place Ne Zha alone against vast, often overwhelming landscapes, like towering mountains, endless skies, or dark forests, to visually emphasize how small and alienated he feels in the grand scheme of things. These framing techniques don't just tell us what the characters are feeling. They make us experience that loneliness and conflict. It's a brilliant use of space and perspective that adds layers of meaning without needing a single line of dialogue. The cinematography also masterfully builds tension and atmosphere through visual techniques. The camera glides slowly through shadowy environments with lingering, suspenseful movements, creating a sense of unease and anticipation. For instance, when Ne Zha is navigating the eerie Dragon King's underwater palace, the interplay of light and dark, combined with slow, cautious camera moves, builds a mood thick with danger and mystery. The audience is kept on edge, wondering what's lurking just beyond the frame. Such sequences demonstrate how cinematography here is about more than just showing action. It's about evoking a mood and pulling viewers deeper into the story's emotional landscape. Then there's the breathtaking beauty woven throughout the film's visuals. The color palettes shift fluidly to mirror character emotions and narrative developments, moving from gloomy and muted to vibrant and electric as the story unfolds. The attention to detail is astonishing, from the shimmer of dragon scales reflecting ethereal light, to the soft, flowing texture of Ne Zha's clothes caught in a breeze, to the glowing embers that spiral around him when his powers flare. These details are lovingly rendered, creating a tactile sense of the world that makes it feel real despite its fantastical nature. The way magic sparkles and glows, the way water reflects light, the way fire flickers. All these effects are designed with meticulous care to bring wonder and awe to every frame. Certain moments stand out as visual masterpieces, etched into your memory long after the credits roll. The slow-motion shot of Ne Zha leaping through a shower of glowing embers is stunning, a perfect marriage of beauty and energy that captures the character's rebellious spirit. A wide shot revealing the sprawling heavenly court under a blanket of stars transports you to a realm of divine majesty and grandeur. The intimate close-up of Ne Zha's tear-filled eyes in a moment of heartbreak cuts right through the spectacle to raw human emotion. Each of these moments is framed and lit in a way that maximizes their impact, turning ordinary storytelling beats into cinematic jewels. What's remarkable is how all these cinematographic elements, camera angles that thrill and immerse, lighting that communicates mood and emotion, framing that reveals inner worlds, work in perfect harmony to tell the story on multiple levels. They don't just show the action. They feel the emotions, the tension, the wonder. They make the audience see what the characters see, feel what they feel, and live through the journey with them. The visual storytelling in Ne Zha is so rich and layered that every rewatch reveals new details and subtleties, making the film endlessly rewarding. Ultimately, the cinematography transforms Ne Zha from a simple animated tale into a living, breathing experience. It shapes the way we connect with the characters, the world, and the story itself. The film's visuals don't just support the narrative. They are the narrative, guiding your emotions and imagination with every frame. This is cinematography that dazzles, moves, and mesmerizes, inviting you not just to watch, but to dive headfirst into the mythic, magical world of Ne Zha and come out changed on the other side. The editing and pacing in Ne Zha are nothing short of a masterful orchestration, a rhythmic dance that guides the audience through a roller coaster of emotions, action, and storytelling with such grace and precision that you're barely aware of the gears turning behind the scenes. The film flows with a natural momentum that feels like it was carefully calibrated to match the beating heart of the narrative, never overstaying its welcome nor rushing past crucial emotional moments. It's as if the editors have found the perfect heartbeat for the film, a pulse that carries you effortlessly from one scene to the next, seamlessly blending fast-paced thrills with tender, introspective pauses. Right from the opening moments, the editing grabs your attention and doesn't let go. The cuts are quick but purposeful, introducing the mythological world, the characters, and the stakes in a way that's clear without feeling heavy or forced. There's a confident rhythm in how scenes transition, whether it's shifting between the earthy village where Ne Zha feels trapped and the ethereal heavenly realms where gods scheme, or jumping from tense confrontations to light-hearted banter. These transitions are so smooth that the audience never experiences confusion or a break in immersion. Instead, they feel like being swept along on a river of storytelling, carried forward with an effortless current. The pacing itself is a remarkable balancing act. Action scenes are edited with electric energy. Rapid cuts, dynamic shot changes, and snappy pacing give the fights an exhilarating urgency. You can feel the adrenaline rush as Ne Zha launches himself into battle, the editing amplifying every punch, dodge, and fiery explosion to maximize impact and excitement. But just as important, the editing knows when to ease off the accelerator. Slower, more contemplative scenes are given room to breathe, with longer takes, gentle cuts, and moments of silence that allow the audience to connect deeply with Ne Zha's inner turmoil, his fears, and his yearning for acceptance. This ebb and flow between kinetic bursts and thoughtful stillness gives the film emotional depth and prevents the narrative from feeling one-dimensional or exhausting. Humor is another area where editing and timing shine brilliantly. Comedy is all about timing, and Ne Zha's editors have a near-perfect sense of when to cut to reaction shots, when to pause for effect, and how to build visual punchlines that land with precision. These comedic beats not only provide relief from the film's heavier themes, but also enrich character personalities, making Ne Zha's rebelliousness and Tai Jinren's eccentric mentorship feel lively and genuine. The snappy editing here keeps the jokes fresh and engaging without breaking the story's flow. Importantly, there are no noticeable pacing missteps, no scenes that drag on too long, nor plot points that feel rushed or underdeveloped. Each sequence feels finely tuned, edited to its essentials while preserving the emotional beats and narrative clarity. The film respects the audience's attention, never lingering unnecessarily, but also never cutting corners. This meticulous craftsmanship means that every scene contributes meaningfully to character growth, world building, or plot advancement, keeping the audience fully invested throughout the film's runtime. The editing also plays a key role in accentuating the film's thematic elements. For example, moments where Ne Zha feels overwhelmed by the weight of destiny or social rejection are often accompanied by slower pacing or repetitive shots that create a feeling of claustrophobia and emotional suffocation. Conversely, sequences showcasing Ne Zha's defiance and moments of triumph are given a brisker, more energized rhythm that communicates liberation and power. This dynamic use of pacing and editing subtly reinforces the story's core messages without resorting to heavy-handed exposition or melodrama. Non-linear storytelling elements, such as flashbacks and dream sequences, are handled with elegance and clarity. Transitions into and out of these sequences are smooth, aided by thoughtful cuts and visual cues that orient the viewer instantly. These narrative detours add texture and complexity to the story, revealing layers of Ne Zha's background and emotional landscape at just the right moments to deepen our understanding without breaking the overall flow. The editing ensures that these sequences feel like natural extensions of the story rather than interruptions. Another subtle but important aspect is how the editing shapes the film's emotional rhythm. The editors use pacing to mirror Ne Zha's internal journey. Moments of uncertainty and fear are reflected in slower, more tentative cuts, while moments of confidence and rebellion pulse with rapid-fire editing. This synchronization between editing and emotion heightens the viewer's empathy and engagement, making the narrative experience feel more immersive and visceral. The transitions between wildly different moods, such as moving from a light-hearted joke to a tense showdown or from a quiet moment of reflection to an explosive battle, are managed with finesse. The editors avoid jarring cuts or abrupt shifts, instead employing techniques like crossfades, sound bridges, or carefully timed cuts to ease the audience seamlessly from one emotional space to another. This skillful handling of tonal shifts keeps viewers emotionally balanced and invested, preventing the story from feeling disjointed despite its wide range of moods. In sum, the editing and pacing of Ne Zha are the unsung heroes of the film's storytelling prowess. They create a viewing experience that feels natural and effortless, guiding the audience through a rich tapestry of emotions, themes, and thrilling moments without ever losing momentum or emotional clarity. The rhythm established by the editing not only keeps you glued to the screen, but also amplifies the story's emotional resonance, making every triumph, heartbreak, and laugh land with maximum impact. It's a masterful blend of technical skill and storytelling intuition that turns a beautifully animated film into an unforgettable cinematic journey. The soundtrack and score of Ne Zha are a vital force that breathes life and soul into the film, transforming every scene into a multi-sensory experience that resonates long after the credits roll. They're not just background noise or filler between dialogue. They are carefully crafted musical storytelling tools that elevate the mythic narrative to emotional heights that visuals alone could never reach. The way the music interacts with the film is like a perfectly choreographed dance, sometimes bold and commanding, other times subtle and haunting, but always deeply connected to the heart of the story. From the very first notes, the score announces its unique identity by blending traditional Chinese musical elements with contemporary orchestral arrangements. This fusion reflects the film's thematic core, the collision of ancient mythology and modern sensibilities embodied by Ne Zha himself. Traditional instruments such as the eru, guzheng, and dizi provide an authentic sonic texture that grounds the fantasy in Chinese cultural heritage. These are layered with sweeping strings, powerful percussion, and modern electronic touches that give the soundtrack an edge, making it feel current, dynamic, and engaging to a wide audience. This clever balance between old and new in the music mirrors Ne Zha's own internal conflict and rebellious spirit, serving as a musical metaphor for the story. Throughout the film, the score features several memorable themes and motifs that function almost like musical characters. Ne Zha's main theme is fiery and fast-paced, full of energy and defiance. It captures his rebellious nature and unstoppable drive, bursting through scenes with rhythmic intensity and bold melodic lines. Whenever this theme returns, it signals a surge of action or a burst of Ne Zha's indomitable will. In contrast, there are quieter, more contemplative motifs that accompany moments of vulnerability, self-doubt, or sorrow. These themes often use minor keys, slower tempos, and softer instrumentation like delicate strings or solo woodwinds, inviting the audience into Ne Zha's emotional depths. This use of recurring musical motifs helps to weave the film's disparate scenes into a cohesive whole, reminding viewers of the protagonist's ongoing struggle even as the plot shifts and evolves. The music's role in creating atmosphere is equally impressive. When the story moves into otherworldly realms, such as the Celestial Palace or the Dragon King's underwater domain, the score adopts a more ethereal and mysterious quality. It employs shimmering chimes, airy flutes, and reverberating vocalizations to evoke a sense of magic, awe, and sometimes menace. These sonic textures create a rich, immersive environment that complements the stunning visuals and reinforces the film's mythical setting. In tense or high-stakes moments, the music grows more intense, with driving percussion, pulsating rhythms, and swelling orchestral crescendos that raise the stakes and keep the audience on edge. This fluid adaptability ensures the soundtrack never feels static or repetitive, but always alive and responsive to the story's emotional currents. One of the soundtrack's most skillful aspects is its use of silence and restraint. There are powerful moments where the music drops away entirely, leaving space for ambient sounds or pure silence to fill the frame. These quiet pauses are not empty but charged with emotion. They give the audience time to absorb the weight of a moment, reflect on the character's inner turmoil, or anticipate what's coming next. The contrast between these silences and the music's full-bodied crescendos creates a compelling ebb and flow, heightening the overall impact. This careful interplay between sound and silence reveals a sophisticated understanding of pacing and emotional dynamics, allowing the score to enhance without overwhelming. Balance is key throughout the film, and the soundtrack never overpowers the story or dialogue. The music supports and enriches scenes, weaving seamlessly into the narrative fabric. Whether it's underscoring a tender conversation, amplifying the energy of a battle, or punctuating a comedic moment, the score finds the right volume and texture to enhance rather than compete with the other elements on screen. This restraint speaks to the careful collaboration between the composers, sound designers, and editors, who clearly tune the soundtrack to serve the film's emotional and narrative goals. Beyond the orchestral score, Ne Zha also incorporates diegetic music that exists within the world of the film, heard by the characters themselves. These moments add another layer of realism and cultural richness. Drawing from Chinese musical traditions and contemporary influences, these diegetic sounds help ground the fantasy elements in a believable setting. They contribute to the film's world-building, making the mythological feel lived in and authentic rather than distant and abstract. The soundtrack's emotional resonance reaches its peak during the film's climactic moments. As Ne Zha faces his destiny and embraces his identity, the music swells with triumphant, soaring melodies that blend hope, courage, and defiance. The pulsating rhythms and rich orchestration carry the audience on an emotional wave that perfectly matches the visual spectacle unfolding on screen. These moments of musical catharsis feel earned and satisfying, giving the story's resolution a powerful emotional weight that lingers long after the final scene. What truly makes the soundtrack of Ne Zha exceptional is its ability to be a storyteller in its own right. The music captures the complexity of Ne Zha's character, his anger, pain, humor, and hope, and translates these emotions into melodies and rhythms that speak directly to the audience's heart. The score doesn't just accompany the story, it amplifies it, transforming the film from a visual narrative into a full-bodied emotional journey. The blend of traditional and modern musical elements mirrors the film's themes of rebellion and self-discovery, making the soundtrack an integral part of the storytelling experience. In the end, the music of Ne Zha is more than just an auditory backdrop. It's a vital force that shapes how we feel, understand, and connect with the film. It's a richly textured sonic world full of memorable themes, dynamic shifts, and thoughtful restraint, all crafted with a deep sensitivity to the story's emotional and cultural layers. The soundtrack invites the audience to not only watch Ne Zha's journey, but to experience it through the powerful language of music, making the film a truly immersive and unforgettable adventure. Ne Zha isn't just a visual spectacle loaded with thrilling action sequences and stunning animation. Beneath the surface, it's a richly layered exploration of themes and messages that touch on fundamental human experiences and philosophical questions. What makes the film stand out is how these deeper ideas are woven so seamlessly into the narrative fabric that they never feel forced or preachy. Instead, they pulse naturally through the characters' journeys, the story arcs, and the world building, inviting viewers to engage with complex concepts while being fully entertained. The film strikes a delicate balance between mythic storytelling and relatable human emotions, making it resonate on multiple levels. At its core, Ne Zha tackles the theme of self-identity versus societal expectations with remarkable insight. Ne Zha's story is the classic tale of an outsider, but told in a way that feels fresh and deeply empathetic. From the moment he is born, burdened by a dark prophecy, the world views him with suspicion, fear, and rejection. This external judgment shapes much of Ne Zha's early life, coloring his relationships and internal struggles. The film dives into the psychological impact of such alienation, showing how harsh labels and prejudice can trap someone in a cage of doubt and anger. It's not just about the fantastical curse. It's about how society's assumptions can limit an individual's potential and poison their sense of self-worth. This theme resonates beyond the screen. Everyone, at some point, faces moments where they feel misunderstood or unfairly judged. Ne Zha's fight to break free from this imposed identity becomes a powerful metaphor for the universal quest to be truly seen and accepted for who we really are. Tied closely to this is the film's nuanced exploration of fate versus free will. The age-old tension between destiny and choice is played out vividly through Ne Zha's character arc. His entire life is shadowed by a prophecy that brands him as a destructive force destined for evil. The people around him, including some well-meaning characters, act as if his future is sealed, resigning themselves to tragedy. However, Ne Zha pushes back against this deterministic outlook with energy and heart, suggesting that courage, self-awareness, and resilience can rewrite even the darkest of fates. But it doesn't sugarcoat this rebellion. Ne Zha's journey is messy, fraught with setbacks and self-doubt, which makes his eventual triumph feel earned rather than convenient. The film encourages viewers to consider how much control we truly have over our paths, and how much power lies in refusing to be defined by others' expectations or predetermined outcomes. The theme of acceptance and belonging is another emotional pillar in the story. Ne Zha's loneliness and isolation are palpable and heartbreaking, not only because of his cursed nature, but because of the social rejection he faces. The film sensitively portrays how fear, ignorance, and stigma can alienate even the most innocent, and it explores the healing power of empathy and understanding. Ne Zha's relationships, whether with his parents, his mentor Tianxiang, or friends, highlight the complexity of love, trust, and forgiveness in the face of prejudice. These interpersonal dynamics add emotional richness and nuance to the story, reminding viewers that acceptance is not a simple fix, but a process involving vulnerability, growth, and courage from all parties involved. The film's message here feels particularly relevant in any society grappling with division, highlighting the transformative power of connection and open-heartedness. Rebellion is woven throughout Ne Zha both as a theme and as a defining trait of the protagonist. Ne Zha's refusal to submit quietly to his fate or society's harsh judgment marks him as a fiery disruptor, a punk spirit who challenges the established order. This rebelliousness isn't portrayed as reckless or purely destructive. Instead, it's framed as an essential force for change and self-empowerment. The film celebrates rebellion as an act of courage, an assertion of identity and justice against unfair constraints. This theme resonates strongly, especially in a cultural context where conformity is often valued, making Ne Zha's defiance feel both thrilling and deeply symbolic. The story implies that progress and transformation often require challenging the status quo and embracing one's authentic self, no matter the cost. On a broader level, the film touches on themes of sacrifice and redemption, adding layers of moral complexity to the characters and their choices. Rather than painting characters as purely good or evil, Ne Zha delves into their flaws, fears, and potential for change. The interplay of light and darkness, both literally and metaphorically, serves as a reminder that the path to growth and acceptance is rarely simple or clear-cut. Characters face difficult decisions that test their values and force them to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves and others. These layers enrich the narrative, inviting viewers to reflect on the complexities of human nature and the possibility of transformation. What's especially impressive is how these deep, sometimes weighty themes emerge naturally from the storytelling, without heavy-handed exposition or overt moralizing. Instead, the film uses character interactions, plot developments, and even visual symbolism to communicate its messages. For example, Ne Zha's fiery powers themselves serve as a metaphor for his inner conflict. The same force that could bring destruction also holds the promise of renewal and self-expression. Visual contrasts, like the oppressive atmosphere of Ne Zha's village versus the vast, open skies above, subtly reinforce ideas of confinement versus freedom. These storytelling choices allow the themes to simmer beneath the surface, inviting viewers to discover meaning through engagement rather than instruction. Ne Zha also leaves room for personal interpretation, which adds to its lasting impact. Different viewers may connect with different thematic strands, whether it's the fight against destiny, the pain of being an outsider, or the joy of self-discovery and acceptance. This openness encourages reflection and conversation, making the film feel alive beyond its runtime. It doesn't spoon-feed answers, but instead opens a door for audiences to explore their own experiences and ideas about identity, fate, and courage. Finally, what makes the film's handling of these themes so effective is that it never sacrifices entertainment for depth. The themes enhance the story rather than slow it down, enriching the emotional stakes and making the action and humor feel more meaningful. This balance keeps the audience engaged and emotionally invested, turning what could have been a straightforward fantasy tale into a resonant, memorable journey that speaks to the heart as much as the imagination. In the end, Ne Zha is a film that manages to be fun, exciting, and visually stunning, while also exploring big ideas about who we are and how we define ourselves. It's a story about fighting against labels, rewriting destiny, seeking acceptance, and embracing the rebellious fire within us all. These messages are delivered with heart and cleverness, making the film not just a thrilling ride, but a thoughtful, inspiring experience that sticks with you long after the final frame. The visual effects and CGI in Ne Zha go far beyond mere spectacle. They form the very backbone of the film's immersive experience, intricately woven into the fabric of its storytelling and world-building. From the moment the film opens, it's clear that no detail has been spared in crafting a visually arresting universe that feels alive, vibrant, and deeply textured. The effects aren't just there to impress. They actively serve the narrative, amplify the emotional beats, and invite viewers to dive headfirst into a mythological world brought to dazzling digital life. At its core, Ne Zha relies on a rich blend of cutting-edge CGI techniques and artistic vision that pays homage to traditional Chinese aesthetics while pushing the boundaries of modern animation technology. This results in a distinctive visual style that manages to honor its cultural roots without feeling outdated or overly stylized. Instead, the film strikes a masterful balance between authenticity and innovation, using the flexibility of CGI to breathe new life into ancient myths and legends. Every frame feels meticulously composed, from sweeping panoramic shots of celestial palaces shimmering under otherworldly skies to intimate close-ups that capture the raw emotion flickering across a character's face. The environments themselves are a marvel. The dusty village where Ne Zha's story begins is richly textured, with layers of detail that evoke a lived-in, tangible space. Dirt smudges, worn rooftops, gently swaying foliage, and bustling villagers all combine to create a world that feels grounded and real, even amidst the fantastical elements. Contrast this with ethereal, luminous realms of gods and spirits. The heavenly palace glows with a radiant light that feels almost sacred, Water ripples with magical iridescence in the Dragon King's domain, and skies shift colors with emotional cues that reinforce the narrative. The CGI effects create distinct atmospheres for these varied locations, immersing the audience in settings that feel as diverse as the story itself. One of the standout achievements of the film's visual effects is how they bring Ne Zha's fiery powers to life. Fire is notoriously challenging to animate convincingly, but here it is rendered with dynamic energy and incredible attention to detail. Flames flicker, dance, and surge with a life of their own, not just as destructive forces, but as extensions of Ne Zha's rebellious, passionate spirit. The fire crackles with intensity during action scenes, illuminating the surroundings with shifting shadows and adding depth to every explosive moment. At the same time, the fire's glow often serves as a visual metaphor, representing Ne Zha's inner conflict, his anger, pain, but also his untapped potential and hope. This duality is beautifully captured through the effects, which feel both organic and symbolic. The action sequences in Ne Zha showcase the visual effects at their most exhilarating. Battles erupt with a kinetic energy fueled by masterful CGI choreography. Characters leap, clash, and unleash elemental powers in dazzling displays of light, motion, and sound. The fluidity of animation allows for impossibly dynamic camera movements that place viewers right in the heart of the chaos without losing clarity. Unlike some action-heavy CGI films where the sheer volume of effects can overwhelm or confuse, Ne Zha manages to keep each punch, blast, and dodge crisp and comprehensible. This clarity is key to maintaining emotional engagement, as the audience can follow the stakes and connect with the characters amid the visual fireworks. Beyond the grand gestures, the film excels in subtle visual details that lend a tactile quality to the digital world. Surfaces reflect light realistically, scales on a dragon shimmer, water ripples convincingly, and even the texture of fabrics moves naturally in the breeze. These touches help prevent the CGI from feeling sterile or artificial, instead grounding the fantastical elements in a believable sensory experience. This attention to physicality enhances the audience's suspension of disbelief and deepens immersion. The stylized nature of the visual effects also deserves mention. Ne Zha doesn't strive for photorealism. Instead, it embraces a design that is bold, colorful, and expressive, perfectly suited to the film's mythological roots and animated medium. This allows for creative freedom in character animation and visual storytelling. The exaggerated expressions, dynamic poses, and imaginative manifestations of magic and power all benefit from the CGI's flexibility. The effects aren't confined by the limits of reality. They amplify emotions, themes, and the story's mythical atmosphere, turning the visuals into a language of their own. Lighting and shadow play a crucial role in the film's visual effects, adding emotional texture and depth. Dramatic lighting contrasts build suspense and highlight conflict, while softer, warmer glows underscore moments of tenderness and hope. The use of light as a narrative tool enhances the storytelling without distracting the viewer, guiding attention and setting mood with finesse. For example, glowing embers trailing behind Ne Zha's fiery movements create a visual echo of his energy and spirit, while shadowy corners emphasize the lurking dangers and internal struggles he faces. Sound and visual effects work hand in hand throughout the film. The crackling of fire, the rush of wind, and the explosive bursts of magic synchronize perfectly with the CGI, creating a multisensory experience that heightens immersion. This careful coordination ensures that the effects aren't just visually impressive, but also emotionally resonant, making magical moments feel tangible and impactful. Importantly, the film demonstrates restraint and purpose in its use of CGI. Visual effects are introduced thoughtfully, timed to support the narrative's pacing and emotional beats rather than to serve as gratuitous spectacle. Quiet scenes make room for subtle effects, a faint glow around a character's hand, drifting particles in the air. demonstrating that even the smallest digital touches contribute meaningfully to atmosphere and storytelling. This balanced approach keeps the audience engaged and prevents sensory overload. While Ne Zha is fully animated and does not mix traditional practical effects with CGI, the digital artistry skillfully replicates the sense of physicality and texture that practical effects often provide. The result is a world that feels tactile despite being entirely digital, combining the best of both realms: the limitless imagination of CGI with the grounded realism of tangible details. In essence, the visual effects and CGI in Ne Zha are a triumph of digital craftsmanship and artistic vision. They don't merely decorate the film. They build and breathe life into its mythological universe. From the fiery bursts of Ne Zha's power to the shimmering palaces of the gods, the effects pull the audience into a rich, immersive experience where ancient legends blaze with vibrant, modern energy. The CGI works tirelessly to balance spectacle and story, enhancing emotions, deepening atmosphere, and creating unforgettable cinematic moments that linger long after the screen goes dark. The set design and locations in Ne Zha are an extraordinary achievement that truly elevate the film beyond just a visually stunning animation to a fully immersive mythological experience. Even though the movie is entirely animated, the level of detail and thought put into every setting, prop, and design element gives the world an authenticity and depth that make it feel tangible, lived in, and emotionally resonant. The production design acts like a silent storyteller, enriching the narrative with textures, colors, and cultural references that add layers of meaning and help to transport the audience fully into Ne Zha's universe. Starting with the village where Ne Zha's journey begins, the filmmakers created an environment that feels utterly believable, grounded in a specific time and culture. The dusty roads, time-worn wooden structures, and patched-up rooftops all hint at a community steeped in tradition, but also marked by hardship and suspicion. The market stalls brimming with fruits, handmade goods, and tools, the flickering lanterns hanging from crooked poles, and the everyday hustle and bustle all combine to craft a sense of place that feels genuine and textured. It's a village that breathes, a world where every corner has a story. Whether it's the chipped paint on a window frame or the way the dirt swirls around Ne Zha's feet as he runs. This attention to small details grounds the fantasy in a reality that viewers can connect with, making Ne Zha's struggles feel personal and relatable. The claustrophobic nature of the village design, with its narrow alleys and crowded streets, visually reinforces the theme of confinement and societal pressure, emphasizing Ne Zha's sense of isolation and the fear that hangs over his existence. When the film moves beyond the village, it expands into grand, awe-inspiring realms that contrast sharply with the rustic earthiness of Ne Zha's hometown. The Heavenly Palace, for instance, is a masterpiece of production design, blending elements of classical Chinese architecture with imaginative fantasy. Sweeping, curved roofs with gilded tiles catch the light in dazzling ways, and intricate woodwork adorned with mythical motifs creates an atmosphere of divine grandeur. This celestial domain feels alive and majestic, bathing scenes in a glow that conveys holiness, power, and mystery. The design choices here do more than provide spectacle. They underscore the vast divide between the mortal and the divine worlds, framing Ne Zha's journey as not only physical but spiritual and existential. The underwater kingdom of the Dragon King offers a completely different aesthetic, fluid, organic, and magical. Here, the production design embraces the underwater theme with breathtaking creativity. Crystalline coral structures shimmer with ethereal light, and currents seem to flow through the space in a way that feels alive. The use of blues and greens, combined with sparkling effects and translucent textures, creates a dreamlike underwater palace that feels both beautiful and slightly menacing. Ornate props like pearl-encrusted thrones, ornate tridents, and ancient scrolls scattered throughout the palace lend a sense of history and cultural richness. This underwater setting adds a vital layer to the narrative by visually representing an ancient, hidden force with its own motivations and power struggles, deepening the film's mythological scope. What's remarkable is how these diverse locations are designed not just as isolated settings, but as interconnected parts of a cohesive world. The transitions between the grounded village, the divine palace, and the mystical underwater kingdom are handled with visual continuity that maintains immersion. Color palettes shift naturally, architectural styles blend or contrast in meaningful ways, and environmental details like weather, lighting, and background action all contribute to a living, breathing world. This comprehensive approach to production design supports the storytelling on multiple levels, helping the audience understand the stakes and emotional currents without a single word spoken. Props and smaller design elements receive equal care and attention. Every weapon, piece of clothing, and mystical artifact is steeped in cultural symbolism and artistic craftsmanship. Ne Zha's iconic fire-tipped spear, his phoenix robes, and the magical rings he wears all carry visual weight and significance. The intricate patterns on his garments, the gleam of his weapons, and the subtle glow of enchanted objects show a dedication to authenticity and detail that enhances character development and thematic resonance. These design elements do more than look good. They communicate character traits, heritage, and the mystical forces at play. Even mundane items like household utensils or village signage are crafted with cultural accuracy and visual interest, enriching the film's world-building. The set design also plays a critical role in pacing and emotional tone. The cozy, cluttered interiors of village homes feel intimate and warm, providing contrast to the sweeping, airy spaces of the divine realms. This spatial variation helps the film modulate its mood, from tense and oppressive during scenes of conflict and rejection, to awe-inspiring and hopeful during moments of transformation and self-discovery. The production design subtly guides the audience's emotional journey through these shifts, using environment as a storytelling tool. Lighting and color design are perfectly integrated with the set and location work. The village scenes are often bathed in warm, earthy tones with natural sunlight filtering through wooden beams or slipping through cracks in the walls, creating pockets of soft shadow and light that enhance realism. In contrast, the heavenly realms glow with soft, radiant light that suggests purity and transcendence, while the underwater kingdom shimmers with cool, shifting hues that evoke mystery and otherworldliness. These lighting choices don't just make the scenes pretty. They actively shape the mood, heighten tension, and underline the thematic contrasts between different parts of Ne Zha's world. The filmmakers also excel in environmental storytelling through the set design. Background details, like faded murals of legendary battles, ancient statues worn by time, and scattered scrolls hinting at forgotten knowledge, populate the environments, providing silent narrative clues and enriching the mythological backdrop. These details reward observant viewers, encouraging multiple viewings and deeper appreciation of the film's layered world. It's a world where history and myth coexist, and where every location has stories of its own to tell. Even in the frenetic action sequences, the set design retains clarity and purpose. Locations are designed with spatial awareness that supports dynamic movement without sacrificing coherence. The environments shift and respond fluidly to the battles unfolding within them, whether it's collapsing structures, flying debris, or magical energy interacting with the surroundings. This careful choreography between character action and environment keeps the excitement visually readable while deepening immersion. In summary, the set design and locations in Ne Zha are a cornerstone of the film's storytelling power. Through meticulous attention to detail, cultural authenticity, and imaginative creativity, the production design crafts a rich, multi-dimensional world that feels both fantastical and real. The dialogue and script of Ne Zha stand out as a masterclass in balancing entertainment, emotional depth, and cultural resonance, creating a rich tapestry of voices that bring this mythological tale to life with vibrant energy and authenticity. From the very first lines, the writing grabs your attention. Not with grandiose speeches or forced exposition, but with natural, engaging conversations that feel rooted in the characters' personalities and the world they inhabit. This grounded approach makes the film's larger-than-life story feel accessible and relatable, inviting the audience to connect with the characters on a very human level. One of the most striking qualities of the script is its deft handling of tone. The dialogue moves fluidly between sharp wit, playful banter, and profound emotional moments without ever feeling jarring or inconsistent. The humor in Ne Zha is quick, clever, and often self-aware, providing welcome levity amidst the high-stakes drama. Ne Zha himself often delivers sarcastic quips and rebellious retorts that not only entertain, but also reveal his fiery personality and inner conflict. These moments of levity help balance the film's heavier themes, making the story feel dynamic and emotionally rich without becoming weighed down by its own mythology. The script's humor isn't just surface level. It's carefully crafted to serve character and story. For example, the playful exchanges between Ne Zha and his friends or mentors often highlight his struggle to find acceptance and identity, using humor as a coping mechanism and a form of rebellion. This adds layers to the character's voice, making him feel more three-dimensional and relatable. The humor also serves to humanize the film's mythic figures, making ancient gods and spirits feel like real personalities rather than distant legends. When the story shifts to explore themes of destiny, alienation, and self-acceptance, the dialogue takes on a more poignant and introspective tone. Emotional weight permeates conversations between Ne Zha and the key figures in his life: his parents, his mentor Tianxiang, and even his adversaries. These exchanges are written with a delicate touch, capturing the complexity of love, fear, misunderstanding, and hope without slipping into melodrama. The script allows characters to express vulnerability and frustration in ways that feel honest and earned, deepening the audience's emotional investment. For instance, moments where Ne Zha confronts the harsh judgments of society or wrestles with his own identity are filled with dialogue that resonates on a universal level, speaking to anyone who has ever felt like an outsider. The film's writing also excels at weaving cultural and mythological elements into the dialogue organically. Rather than resorting to clunky exposition, background lore and philosophical ideas are often hinted at through character interactions or subtle references. This technique enriches the world building without bogging down the narrative, making the mythology feel alive and integrated rather than pasted on. Phrases and idioms drawn from Chinese culture add texture and authenticity, inviting viewers into a world steeped in tradition and legend. This cultural specificity doesn't alienate, but rather enhances the universal themes of the story, showing how ancient wisdom can speak to contemporary experiences. There are numerous memorable lines throughout the film that stand out not only for their cleverness, but for their thematic significance. For example, Ne Zha's defiant statements about forging his own path despite what fate has dictated become rallying cries for self-empowerment and resistance against prejudice. These lines are delivered with passion and conviction, embodying the film's core message and leaving a lasting impact on the audience. Such dialogue moments often serve as emotional turning points, crystallizing character growth and shifting narrative momentum. Beyond Ne Zha, the script gives ample voice to the supporting cast, each with their own distinct tone and style. Mentors speak with measured wisdom tinged with warmth, antagonists bring menace or tragic resolve through their words, and friends provide both comic relief and heartfelt support. This diversity of voices creates a rich conversational ecosystem that keeps the storytelling dynamic and engaging. The characters' dialogue reveals their motivations and relationships in subtle, nuanced ways, allowing viewers to read between the lines and discover deeper layers of meaning. The pacing of the dialogue is another strong suit. The script knows when to keep things snappy and fast-paced, especially during moments of tension, humor, or action, and when to slow down and let the emotional beats linger. This careful rhythm keeps the audience engaged, allowing them time to process important revelations or character moments without feeling rushed. The flow of conversations feels natural, never artificial or staged, which heightens immersion and makes the film's world feel alive. Storytelling-wise, the script skillfully avoids heavy-handed exposition. Instead, it trusts the audience to piece together the mythology and plot through dialogue that feels motivated and character-driven. Background information about the gods, curses, and prophecies emerges naturally through interactions rather than info dumps, maintaining narrative momentum and mystery. This method of storytelling rewards attentive viewers and adds to the film's layered complexity. Even in scenes of confrontation and conflict, the dialogue remains sharp and emotionally charged. Arguments and tense exchanges crackle with subtext, capturing the complexity of fractured relationships shaped by fear, misunderstanding, and the weight of destiny. The script doesn't simplify these moments into black and white morality, but instead explores the gray areas of guilt, forgiveness, and redemption through carefully crafted lines that resonate emotionally. The dialogue also does an excellent job of reflecting the film's central theme of self-discovery. Ne Zha's journey to understand and accept himself is mirrored in how his speech evolves, from defensive and rebellious outbursts to moments of calm determination and vulnerability. This progression in dialogue style subtly tracks his growth, adding a layer of narrative depth that enhances the overall storytelling. Lastly, the writing balances dramatic intensity with accessibility. The language is clear and expressive, making complex themes digestible without diluting their significance. The script's emotional honesty and humor create an engaging experience that appeals to a broad audience, blending mythic grandeur with personal, heartfelt storytelling. In essence, the dialogue and script of Ne Zha are crafted with a skillful blend of wit, heart, cultural richness, and narrative precision. They breathe life into characters, deepen themes, and keep viewers emotionally and intellectually engaged from the film's opening moments to its triumphant finale. Whether delivering a sharp quip, a moving confession, or a powerful declaration of defiance, the writing imbues every line with purpose and personality, making Ne Zha a story that stays with you long after the credits roll. Ne Zha is a film that masterfully navigates the conventions of its genre while injecting enough originality and energy to keep the experience fresh, thrilling, and emotionally resonant. At its core, it's a fantasy-adventure animated film steeped in Chinese mythology, but it refuses to be boxed in by the usual expectations or clichés that often weigh down such stories. Instead, it strikes a delicate and exciting balance, embracing the epic, action-packed elements that fans crave while exploring deeper emotional and thematic layers that add nuance and depth. The film's genre execution is a vivid demonstration of how to honor tradition while innovating, making it stand out in a crowded field of animated fantasies. Starting with the action, Ne Zha doesn't just check the boxes of big, explosive fight scenes and dazzling powers. It elevates them into storytelling devices that deepen character and theme. The animation choreography is fluid and dynamic, allowing for jaw-dropping sequences that look and feel fresh. Whether it's Ne Zha soaring through the sky on fiery wheels or facing off against mythical beasts with blazing intensity, the film uses the medium's full capabilities to create moments of sheer spectacle. But what sets these action scenes apart from the typical genre fare is how they're interwoven with character motivation and emotional stakes. Each battle is not just a visual treat, but a narrative milestone. Ne Zha's struggle against his fate, his fight for acceptance, and his clashes with antagonists all carry emotional resonance. This integration means that even the most frenetic scenes feel purposeful, never devolving into mindless spectacle, which is a common pitfall in the genre. Suspense and tension are equally well managed, adding a layer of complexity that keeps viewers invested beyond the surface-level thrills. The film toys with the chosen one prophecy trope, turning it on its head by positioning Ne Zha as a misunderstood anti-hero rather than a straightforward savior. This narrative choice injects uncertainty and moral ambiguity into the story, fostering suspense about how Ne Zha's journey will unfold. Will he succumb to the dark fate others have assigned to him, or will he rise above it? This question propels the plot and keeps the audience on edge. The tension isn't limited to external conflicts, but extends to internal struggles, creating a multi-dimensional suspense that enriches the genre's usual beats. Humor is another area where Ne Zha excels by balancing genre conventions with clever originality. Fantasy adventures can sometimes struggle to blend humor and drama without tonal whiplash, but this film handles it with finesse. The witty banter and playful moments arise naturally from character interactions and situations, giving the story a lightness that complements its heavier themes. Ne Zha's rebellious attitude and quick comebacks provide levity and personality, making him instantly likable and relatable. Supporting characters add their own quirky flair, offering moments of comic relief that never feel out of place or gratuitous. This mix of humor and heart ensures the film maintains a lively rhythm, keeping the audience emotionally engaged without ever becoming too somber or self-serious. When it comes to drama, Ne Zha pushes the genre forward by focusing on themes of identity, alienation, and self-acceptance with remarkable emotional depth. Unlike many fantasy films where the hero's journey is a straightforward quest for glory or vengeance, this story centers on a protagonist wrestling with the expectations and prejudices imposed upon him. The drama arises not just from external villains or obstacles, but from Ne Zha's internal battle to reconcile who he is with who he wants to be. The script and performances bring nuance to this conflict, portraying the emotional pain of rejection and the courage required to defy destiny. This exploration adds a layer of psychological realism that is often missing in genre films, allowing Ne Zha to resonate with audiences on a personal level. The film also cleverly subverts the classic hero versus villain dichotomy. Instead of neatly defined good and evil, the characters occupy moral gray areas that reflect real-world complexities. This subversion challenges audience expectations and encourages deeper reflection on themes like fate, choice, and prejudice. Villains aren't just evil for evil's sake, and heroes aren't flawless paragons. This complexity elevates the drama and distinguishes the film within its genre, offering a more mature and thoughtful narrative. Visually and tonally, Ne Zha embraces a vibrant and stylized aesthetic that sets it apart from darker, grittier fantasy epics. The bold colors, imaginative character designs, and dynamic animation style infuse the story with energy and cultural richness. This choice reinforces the film's roots in Chinese mythology while making it accessible and appealing to a global audience. The tonal shifts, from humor to heartfelt drama to adrenaline-fueled action, are handled with skill, creating a cohesive experience that never feels disjointed or forced. Despite leaning into genre staples like prophecies, elemental powers, and epic battles, Ne Zha refreshes these elements through inventive storytelling and character development. The film avoids cliches by giving the familiar tropes new emotional weight and narrative complexity. It respects the audience's intelligence, trusting them to appreciate subtle twists and layered themes without relying on tired plot devices. This approach results in a story that feels both epic and intimate, fantastical yet grounded. The pacing of the film also contributes to its successful genre execution. Action-packed sequences alternate with quieter, character-driven moments, allowing viewers to catch their breath and connect emotionally. Suspense builds gradually, and humor provides relief without undercutting stakes. This rhythm keeps the story engaging from start to finish, expertly balancing spectacle with substance. In conclusion, Ne Zha delivers a genre experience that is as thrilling as it is thoughtful. It honors the traditions of fantasy adventure while pushing boundaries in storytelling, character complexity, and emotional resonance. The film's mix of action, suspense, humor, and drama feels carefully calibrated to entertain and move the audience, making it a standout example of how genre conventions can be both celebrated and innovated upon. Through this vibrant blend, Ne Zha crafts a timeless tale that is as fresh and exciting as it is rooted in ancient myth. Ne Zha is far more than just a visually stunning animated fantasy bursting with mythical creatures and high-octane battles. It is a film rich with social and cultural commentary that adds significant depth and contemporary relevance to its ancient tale. Beneath the dazzling animation and dynamic storytelling lies a thoughtful exploration of complex themes such as identity, societal judgment, prejudice, and the universal human desire for acceptance and self-determination. What's particularly impressive is how these themes are woven seamlessly into the fabric of the narrative and characters, making the commentary feel natural and integral rather than tacked on or preachy. The film invites the audience not only on a journey through legendary myth, but also through the emotional landscape of human experience and cultural reflection. At the forefront of Ne Zha's social commentary is its treatment of stigma and exclusion. Ne Zha's character embodies the struggle of being labeled and marginalized by society, based on fear and misunderstanding. From birth, Ne Zha carries the weight of a dark prophecy that casts him as a threat, causing villagers to reject and ostracize him before he even has a chance to define himself. This narrative mirrors real-world experiences of discrimination and prejudice faced by many who are unfairly judged because of race, class, ethnicity, disability, or any perceived difference. The emotional core of the film lies in its portrayal of the loneliness and pain that come from such exclusion, as well as the resilience and courage required to challenge these imposed identities. The film's empathetic handling of this subject matter creates a powerful message about the dangers of fear-driven judgment and the necessity of compassion and understanding in communities. The theme of fate versus free will is another significant thread that carries rich social and cultural implications. In many traditional cultures, including Chinese society, concepts of destiny and preordained roles have long influenced personal and societal expectations. Ne Zha confronts this head-on by challenging the idea that a person's path is fixed by prophecy or birthright. Ne Zha's defiant fight to rewrite his fate becomes a metaphor for personal agency and the modern quest for self-definition in the face of inherited roles or societal pressures. This theme resonates widely today, as individuals increasingly seek to break free from traditional constraints, be they cultural, familial, or social, and assert their own identities. The film captures this tension beautifully, presenting a hopeful narrative that acknowledges the weight of tradition but affirms the power of choice and transformation. Moreover, the film delves into the dynamics of societal conformity and the consequences of collective fear. The villagers' reaction to Ne Zha, fear, suspicion, and eventual hostility, reflects how communities often respond to those who are different or challenge the status quo. This portrayal opens up a broader conversation about the balance between social cohesion and individual freedom, a topic that has contemporary resonance amid ongoing debates about inclusion, diversity, and the treatment of minorities and outsiders. Ne Zha uses its mythological setting as a mirror to real-world societal dynamics, encouraging viewers to reflect on how fear and misunderstanding can lead to exclusion and injustice. The film subtly critiques the impulse to enforce conformity at the expense of empathy, pushing the audience to consider the value of acceptance and open-mindedness. Gender representation and the breaking of stereotypes are woven into the story with subtlety and care. While not overtly focused on gender politics, Ne Zha presents characters that challenge traditional roles and expectations. Ne Zha himself embodies a complex mix of strength, vulnerability, defiance, and sensitivity that defies simplistic heroic archetypes. The female characters in the film are portrayed with depth and agency, contributing meaningfully to the plot and thematic resonance. This nuanced representation offers a progressive take on gender roles within a genre that often leans on rigid stereotypes. By doing so, the film participates in broader cultural conversations about gender equality and the fluidity of identity, all while maintaining narrative coherence and emotional authenticity. One of the film's greatest achievements is how it integrates all these social and cultural themes without sacrificing entertainment value or narrative momentum. The commentary emerges naturally from the characters' experiences, relationships, and conflicts. It never pauses the action or shifts into didactic mode, but rather lives within the story's emotional beats and mythological symbolism. This approach respects the audience's intelligence and engagement, allowing viewers to absorb and reflect on the deeper messages while being swept up in the excitement and spectacle. The mythological framework itself serves as a powerful metaphorical lens through which these contemporary issues are explored. The gods, prophecies, curses, and supernatural forces symbolize societal expectations, inherited burdens, and internal struggles. This symbolic richness gives the film layers of meaning that invite multiple interpretations and discussions. It shows how ancient stories can still illuminate modern dilemmas, bridging past and present in a way that feels both timeless and urgent. In handling sensitive and complex topics like stigma, fear, and personal identity, Ne Zha demonstrates remarkable empathy and nuance. The characters' emotional journeys are portrayed with honesty and complexity, avoiding simplistic binaries of good versus evil or victim versus villain. The film recognizes that transformation and understanding require struggle, forgiveness, and courage, offering a mature and hopeful perspective that resonates deeply. This treatment makes the film accessible and meaningful to viewers of all ages and backgrounds. Ultimately, Ne Zha's social and cultural commentary is an essential part of what makes the film stand out. It challenges audiences to think about acceptance, not only of others but of themselves, and the strength it takes to resist prejudice and rewrite one's narrative. These themes transcend cultural boundaries, giving the story a universal appeal while rooted firmly in Chinese cultural identity and mythology. The film's ability to entertain, move, and provoke thoughtful reflection in equal measure makes it a remarkable achievement and a shining example of how animation can engage with important social conversations in an engaging and impactful way. Through its seamless blend of thrilling adventure and thoughtful social insight, Ne Zha becomes more than just a retelling of a legend. It becomes a mirror reflecting the challenges and hopes of contemporary life. It invites viewers to embrace complexity, reject fear, and celebrate the transformative power of self-acceptance and empathy, all while delivering a visually spectacular and emotionally compelling cinematic experience. Ne Zha grabs the audience's attention right from the opening scenes and doesn't let go, pulling viewers into an emotional whirlwind where laughter, tears, excitement, and moments of genuine shock blend effortlessly into an unforgettable ride. The film isn't content with simply telling a thrilling mythological story. It strives to connect deeply with its audience by crafting characters and situations that resonate on a profoundly human level. It's this connection that makes the film so compelling, as viewers find themselves emotionally invested in Ne Zha's journey, rooting for him through every high and low. Humor plays a crucial role in building this emotional bridge, and Ne Zha nails it with a blend of witty dialogue, playful antics, and perfectly timed comic relief. Ne Zha's rebellious spirit bursts through with snarky remarks, cheeky smirks, and mischievous behavior that injects vitality and charm into the narrative. These moments of levity not only entertain, but serve to humanize Ne Zha, making him relatable despite his supernatural origins. The supporting cast adds their own flavor of humor, whether it's through quirky sidekicks or amusing exchanges with the protagonist, keeping the atmosphere lively and preventing the film from becoming too heavy. This laughter provides a rhythmic balance that allows the audience to catch their breath amid the intense action and emotional scenes, maintaining engagement and investment throughout. On the other side of the spectrum, Ne Zha doesn't shy away from hitting emotional heartstrings with powerful sincerity. The film explores themes of alienation and rejection with nuance and empathy, depicting Ne Zha's painful struggle to be accepted by a society that fears and misunderstands him. Scenes that delve into his loneliness and the weight of societal judgment are portrayed with genuine tenderness, inviting viewers to feel the raw vulnerability beneath his defiant exterior. These moments often evoke deep sympathy and even sadness, capturing universal feelings of isolation and the yearning to belong. The animation enhances this emotional impact by capturing subtle facial expressions and body language, conveying complex feelings that dialogue alone couldn't fully express. Excitement courses through the film with breathtaking action sequences and adrenaline-fueled confrontations that keep audiences glued to the screen. The choreography of battles is not just visually spectacular, but narratively charged, with each clash representing a step in Ne Zha's internal and external conflicts. The tension and stakes escalate in a way that feels natural and compelling, making viewers cheer for the hero's victories and gasp at the twists and turns of fate. The film's pacing ensures that moments of high intensity are interspersed with quieter, emotionally resonant scenes, creating a rhythm that keeps energy levels high without overwhelming the audience. Ne Zha also surprises its viewers with unexpected twists and revelations that subvert typical fantasy tropes. These shocks don't feel like cheap gimmicks. Instead, they add layers of complexity to the characters and narrative, challenging the audience's assumptions and encouraging deeper engagement with the story. This unpredictability adds a fresh and invigorating dimension to the film, making the viewing experience more dynamic and thought-provoking. It invites viewers to reconsider what they know about heroism, destiny, and morality, fostering an ongoing curiosity that keeps the story alive long after the credits roll. One of the most remarkable aspects of Ne Zha is how it sparks conversation and reflection among its audience. The film's rich thematic content, addressing identity, societal prejudice, the struggle for self-acceptance, and the fight against predetermined fate, resonates across cultural boundaries and encourages viewers to contemplate their own experiences and beliefs. It invites dialogue about the nature of belonging and the courage required to forge one's own path, making it a film that doesn't just entertain but also enlightens. This level of engagement turns Ne Zha into a communal experience, where viewers share insights, debate moral questions, and find personal meaning, adding to its cultural impact. The layered storytelling and visual richness of Ne Zha make it a film that rewards repeat viewings. Each time viewers return, they notice new details in the animation, subtle narrative hints, and symbolic touches that deepen their understanding and appreciation. The complexity of the characters and themes means that the film can be enjoyed on multiple levels. Whether as a thrilling adventure, a poignant coming-of-age story, or a culturally significant mythological retelling, this replay value ensures that Ne Zha remains relevant and engaging long after its initial release, becoming a beloved favorite for audiences of all ages. In summary, Ne Zha excels at emotionally engaging its audience by delivering a story that is as heartfelt as it is exhilarating. Through a clever balance of humor, drama, action, and surprise, the film creates a rich emotional tapestry that invites viewers to laugh, cry, cheer, and reflect. It crafts characters and narratives that feel genuine and relatable, transforming a mythological tale into a universal journey of identity and acceptance. The film's ability to provoke strong emotional reactions and inspire ongoing discussion makes it not just a movie to watch, but an experience to feel deeply, revisit often, and share widely. When it comes to animated fantasy adventures rooted in mythology, Ne Zha holds its own in a landscape crowded with memorable films, but also manages to carve out a distinct identity that sets it apart from the pack. If you're familiar with the genre, you might immediately think of classics like Kung Fu Panda or How to Train Your Dragon, or other mythologically inspired tales such as Big Hero 6 or even Studio Ghibli's Princess Mononoke. Ne Zha shares some DNA with these films. A young hero coming of age, stunning animation, a mix of humor and heart, and spectacular battles. But it also introduces fresh elements that give it a unique flavor and cultural resonance. In comparison to Western animated epics, Ne Zha leans heavily into its Chinese cultural and mythological roots, which brings a richness and specificity that is often missing from more generic fantasy adventures. While films like Kung Fu Panda weave Chinese culture into a broadly accessible story, Ne Zha plunges deeply into traditional mythology, giving audiences a vivid immersion into stories and themes less commonly explored in global animation markets. This authenticity and depth of cultural storytelling make it stand out as more than just another hero's journey. It's an exploration of heritage, identity, and ancient beliefs given new life through modern animation technology. Looking at the director's previous works or the studio's filmography, Ne Zha marks a clear evolution. Earlier films might have touched on fantastical elements or folklore, but this movie ups the ante with its complex characters, emotional weight, and breathtaking visuals. The director's ability to blend action, humor, and poignant drama in a cohesive package shows growth and ambition, delivering a film that feels mature yet accessible. It's not just about eye candy and spectacle. It's storytelling with heart and soul, which some earlier genre entries may have sacrificed for flashiness. In terms of narrative structure and character arcs, Ne Zha follows the familiar formula of the underdog hero fighting against fate, but it spices things up with morally complex characters and subverted tropes. Unlike many animated heroes who start off as purely good or innocent, Ne Zha begins as an outcast branded by a dark prophecy, inviting viewers to grapple with themes of prejudice, self-identity, and redemption. This darker, more nuanced approach adds a layer of sophistication that gives it an edge over more straightforward tales. It's a story that feels fresh because it asks bigger questions about who we are and whether we can change what's written for us. Compared to franchise films, say the How to Train Your Dragon series or Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, Ne Zha isn't just setting up for sequels or spin-offs. It's a self-contained epic that packs a full emotional and narrative punch in one film. This makes it a satisfying standalone experience while still leaving room for potential expansion. The film's confidence in telling a complete story without over-reliance on franchise formulae gives it a distinctive place among contemporary animated hits. Visually, Ne Zha competes with the best of the best. Its animation quality rivals top-tier studios, with intricate character designs, fluid fight choreography, and stunning landscapes that evoke the mythic grandeur of the source material. Unlike some films that lean heavily on CGI spectacle without substance, Ne Zha uses its visuals to serve the story and emotion. The fiery effects, supernatural battles, and dynamic movements all enhance the narrative rather than just dazzles the eye, which sets it apart from films that prioritize visuals over heart. In terms of tone, Ne Zha strikes a rare balance between dark themes and humor. While many animated fantasies shy away from exploring heavier emotional territory or moral ambiguity, this film dives right in but tempers it with sharp wit and playful moments. This tonal dexterity makes it feel both epic and accessible, appealing to adults and younger viewers alike without talking down to either. It's a sophisticated cocktail of emotions that some genre peers struggle to achieve. Overall, while Ne Zha shares some familiar beats with other animated mythological adventures, it refreshes the genre with cultural authenticity, complex characters, and a bold narrative approach. It stands as a strong contender next to global favorites while offering something uniquely its own. A vibrant myth retold with modern storytelling and animation mastery. For fans of the genre looking for both spectacle and substance, it delivers an experience that is both thrilling and thought-provoking, setting a high bar for future films in this space. Ne Zha isn't just a flashy spectacle of fireballs and mythical battles. It's a treasure trove of symbolism and metaphor that adds layers of meaning beneath its thrilling surface. The film uses recurring visual motifs and narrative symbols that deepen the storytelling and invite viewers to peel back the layers to discover richer interpretations. These symbolic elements don't just decorate the film. They actively enhance its themes of identity, fate, and transformation, making the viewing experience more immersive and rewarding. One of the most striking symbols in Ne Zha is fire itself. Fire blazes through the film both literally and metaphorically, representing Ne Zha's inner spirit, potential, and struggle. His fiery wheels and blazing powers are a visual signature, but fire also symbolizes destruction and rebirth, echoing the classic mythological phoenix that rises from its ashes. This dual nature of fire captures the essence of Ne Zha's character. Dangerous yet purifying, feared yet powerful. Throughout the film, fire is a reminder that what seems destructive can also be a source of renewal and change, mirroring Ne Zha's journey from outcast to hero. The motif of chains and bonds appears repeatedly, symbolizing both the restrictions imposed on Ne Zha and the broader theme of fate versus free will. Chains literally bind characters at times, but more importantly, they represent societal expectations, curses, and the weight of prophecy trying to hold the hero back. The tension between breaking free of these chains and being trapped by destiny drives much of the narrative and emotional tension. This visual metaphor deepens the theme of struggle against imposed identity and the fight for self-determination. Water is another elemental motif that complements fire, often appearing in contrast or harmony. Water symbolizes flexibility, cleansing, and potential for change, serving as a counterbalance to fire's intensity and volatility. Scenes featuring water, rivers, rain, or pools, often coincide with moments of reflection, emotional release, or transformation. This interplay between fire and water visually represents the internal conflict within Ne Zha, the push and pull of destructive impulses and the hope for calm and growth. The film also uses the recurring image of the dragon extensively, tying into Chinese cultural symbolism and mythology. Dragons traditionally symbolize power, wisdom, and protection, but also unpredictability and danger. In Ne Zha, dragons represent not only literal mythic creatures, but also the weight of legacy and expectation that Ne Zha carries. The presence of dragon imagery underscores the hero's connection to ancient forces and his struggle to live up to, or redefine, those mythic standards. It's a potent metaphor for the burden of ancestry and the challenge of forging one's own identity amid towering cultural myths. Colors play a significant symbolic role as well. Red, of course, dominates, tied to fire, passion, and danger, but it also evokes celebration and vitality in Chinese culture. The strategic use of color highlights emotional states and thematic contrasts. Bright, warm tones burst during moments of triumph and power, while darker hues shroud scenes of despair and conflict. This visual language enhances the mood and subconsciously signals shifts in Ne Zha's journey from turmoil to acceptance. The film's narrative structure itself mirrors the classic hero's journey, which is a metaphor for personal growth and self-discovery. The trials, betrayals, and ultimate redemption aren't just plot devices. They symbolize the universal human experience of facing inner demons, societal judgment, and the quest to find one's true self. Each stage of Ne Zha's story can be read as a metaphor for psychological and emotional milestones, making the myth feel timeless and deeply relatable. Hidden visual cues enrich the storytelling, inviting attentive viewers to notice subtle details. For example, repeated shapes like circles and spirals appear in backgrounds, props, and character designs, symbolizing cycles, eternity, and transformation. These shapes reinforce the theme that life is a continuous process of change, and that destiny is not linear but layered and complex. Such motifs give the film a textured visual rhythm that complements its narrative depth. The relationship between characters also carries metaphorical weight. The dynamic between Ne Zha and his parents reflects broader themes of acceptance, expectation, and unconditional love. Their struggles symbolize the tension many feel between familial duty and personal freedom. Similarly, the antagonists aren't just villains, but represent internal fears, societal prejudice, and the darker sides of fate that must be confronted and overcome. In essence, Ne Zha is a rich tapestry of symbolism and metaphor that elevates it beyond a straightforward fantasy adventure. Every flame, chain, wave, and dragon breathes meaning into the story, weaving a complex web that explores profound questions about identity, destiny, and transformation. These elements invite viewers not just to watch, but to engage, interpret, and feel the myth in new and compelling ways, making the film a deeply layered and rewarding experience. Ne Zha isn't just a standalone animated film. It's a modern retelling of one of the most famous and enduring myths in Chinese folklore, a story that has been told and retold across centuries in countless versions, from classical literature and operas to comics and TV shows. This rich historical context adds a fascinating layer to the film, giving audiences a glimpse into a cultural legacy that stretches back over 1,000 years, rooted in the classic novel Investiture of the Gods, Fengshen Yanni. This connection means that Ne Zha is not just entertainment. It's part of a vast narrative tradition that has shaped Chinese storytelling and cultural identity for generations. In terms of historical and mythological accuracy, the film takes creative liberties to craft a version of Ne Zha's story that resonates with contemporary viewers while honoring the core themes and characters of the original myths. It's not a rigid reenactment of ancient tales, but rather a reimagining that captures the spirit and symbolism of the legend, making it accessible and relevant for today's audience. This balance of respect for tradition and innovative storytelling breathes new life into a well-known figure, showcasing the timeless appeal of myth and how it can be reshaped to speak to modern sensibilities. The film's portrayal of its mythological setting is immersive and detailed, drawing on traditional Chinese cultural elements, architecture, costumes, landscapes, and folklore motifs, to create a vibrant world that feels both fantastical and authentic. From the celestial realms to mortal villages, the settings reflect a deep understanding of Chinese aesthetics and mythology, grounding the supernatural story in a rich cultural atmosphere. This attention to detail helps viewers feel transported into a living myth, where ancient gods, spirits, and heroes come alive with striking visual flair and emotional weight. Though Ne Zha itself isn't part of a larger cinematic franchise yet, it stands as a significant entry in a growing wave of Chinese animated films that reinterpret national myths and legends with modern technology and storytelling techniques. Its success has sparked interest in expanding the mythos, and given the depth of Ne Zha's story and the breadth of Chinese mythology, there's ample material for sequels, spin-offs, or even a shared cinematic universe. In this sense, the film is both a bold new beginning and a bridge connecting past and future storytelling traditions. The cultural weight of the Ne Zha story also influences how the film is received domestically and internationally. For Chinese audiences, the character of Ne Zha is deeply familiar, almost like a cultural hero whose tales are ingrained in childhood memories and festivals. Seeing this beloved figure reinterpreted with such energy and modernity creates a powerful sense of pride and nostalgia, while also inviting younger generations to engage with their heritage in a fresh way. For international viewers, the film opens a window onto a mythos that might be less known, offering a thrilling and emotional introduction to Chinese folklore that stands on its own merits while hinting at a vast cultural tapestry waiting to be explored. In the context of other adaptations, Ne Zha distinguishes itself through its blend of cutting-edge animation and heartfelt storytelling, setting a new benchmark for mythological animation in China. While earlier versions, whether in literature, opera, or TV, focused on traditional storytelling methods, this film harnesses the power of digital animation to make the legend visually spectacular and emotionally resonant. It's a transformation that brings the myth into the 21st century, demonstrating how ancient stories can evolve and thrive in new formats. So, while Ne Zha may not be a piece in a large franchise puzzle just yet, its roots in centuries-old myth and its place at the forefront of contemporary Chinese animation make it a fascinating cultural milestone. It acts as a gateway between the old and the new, blending historical depth with modern cinematic flair, and paving the way for future stories that explore the rich mythology of China in vibrant, exciting ways. Ne Zha is a shining example of what smart investment and passionate creativity can achieve in the animation world, especially considering its budget and the production quality it delivers. While it wasn't made with the enormous budgets typical of major Hollywood animated blockbusters, those can easily soar into the hundreds of millions. Ne Zha still managed to push the envelope in terms of visual spectacle, animation fluidity, and emotional storytelling. Its production quality feels far beyond what its budget might suggest at first glance, showing how focused artistry and efficient use of resources can create something truly dazzling without breaking the bank. The budget of Ne Zha was substantial for a Chinese animated film, but modest compared to global giants. What's fascinating is how every penny seems to have been strategically allocated to maximize impact. The stunning character designs, explosive action sequences, intricate background art, and seamless integration of traditional mythological aesthetics with modern CGI technology show meticulous attention to detail. The film's animation quality rivals some of the best international productions, proving that a mid-range budget combined with skilled talent and smart production management can compete on the world stage. Financially, Ne Zha was nothing short of a blockbuster phenomenon. It smashed box office records in China and made a huge splash internationally. The film grossed hundreds of millions globally, becoming one of the highest-grossing animated films ever produced in China. This success wasn't just about impressive numbers. It signaled a shift in the global animation landscape, showcasing the commercial viability and audience appetite for high-quality, culturally rich animated stories outside of the traditional Hollywood ecosystem. Marketing played a key role in Ne Zha's financial triumph. The promotional campaigns were savvy and multi-layered, targeting both younger audiences eager for a thrilling hero's tale and adults drawn to the deeper cultural and emotional themes. Social media buzz, merchandise, tie-ins, and strategic release dates helped generate anticipation and maintain momentum. The film's cultural resonance fueled word-of-mouth excitement, as viewers praised its animation quality, compelling story, and emotional depth, which translated directly into packed theaters and strong box office returns. Audience reception was overwhelmingly positive, which in turn fueled repeated viewings and a strong aftermarket performance in digital sales, streaming, and merchandise. The film tapped into a powerful combination of nostalgia, national pride, and universal themes of identity and destiny, creating a broad appeal that crossed age groups and demographics. Viewers appreciated not just the entertainment value, but also the film's artistic ambition and cultural significance, boosting its standing beyond just a commercial success to a beloved cultural event. Ne Zha's financial success is particularly impressive given that it had to compete with international blockbusters and domestic films in a crowded market. Its ability to carve out a huge audience reflects not only excellent filmmaking, but also a growing global appetite for stories rooted in non-Western cultures told with top-tier production values. This opens doors for more animated films from China and other countries to break into global markets with confidence. In summary, Ne Zha is a brilliant case study in how a mid-budget animated film, when made with passion, cultural insight, and technical skill, can deliver production quality that rivals big-budget Hollywood animations and achieve extraordinary box office success. Its marketing savvy and enthusiastic audience reception combined to create a perfect storm that turned this mythological tale into a financial powerhouse and a cultural phenomenon, proving that great stories well told will find their audience, no matter where they come from. If you're ready to dive into the fiery world of Ne Zha, the first and best way to experience this epic animated adventure is on the biggest screen you can find. The film's vibrant colors, explosive action scenes, and stunning visual effects truly come alive in theaters, where the immersive sound design and larger-than-life animation make the story feel electric. Watching Ne Zha on the big screen means you catch every detail of the fluid fight choreography, the intricate mythological settings, and the expressive character animations in their full glory. The theater experience amplifies the emotional highs and lows too, making you feel every triumph and heartbreak alongside Ne Zha himself. If you miss the theatrical run or prefer watching at home, the film is widely available on multiple streaming platforms, where you can enjoy it anytime, anywhere. Streaming services often offer HD or even 4K versions of the film, ensuring crisp visuals that still pack a punch on your TV or device. Many platforms also provide options for subtitles and dubbed versions, making the film accessible to a global audience who want to appreciate the story in their preferred language. Streaming lets you pause, rewind, or watch with friends and family at your own pace, which is perfect for soaking in the rich details and complex storytelling. For viewers who want to own the film or watch it offline, digital rental and purchase options on platforms like iTunes, Amazon, or Google Play are also available. Renting allows you to experience Ne Zha for a set period, which is great for a one-time viewing or introducing someone new to the film. Purchasing the film digitally or on Blu-ray gives you a high-quality copy to revisit whenever you want, plus bonus features like behind-the-scenes looks, director commentary, or making-of documentaries that deepen your appreciation for the craftsmanship behind the movie. When it comes to the best way to watch Ne Zha for the fullest impact, nothing quite beats a home theater setup or a quality big-screen TV paired with good speakers or headphones. The film's dynamic soundtrack and sound effects create an immersive soundscape that pulls you into the mythic world, while the vibrant animation rewards viewers who watch on a large, high-definition display. Watching in a darkened room helps maintain focus on the visuals and the emotional beats, letting the story sweep you away. If you have the chance to watch Ne Zha with others, whether friends, family, or fellow fans, the shared experience adds another layer of enjoyment. The film's humor, thrilling battles, and emotional moments spark lively conversations and collective reactions that make the story even more memorable. Discussing the film afterward helps unpack its deeper themes and cultural significance, enriching your connection to the movie. So whether you catch it in theaters, stream it on your favorite platform, rent it digitally, or own a physical copy, Ne Zha offers a viewing experience that's flexible and accessible. Just make sure you pick a setup that lets you appreciate its stunning visuals, powerful soundtrack, and compelling story. Because this isn't just a movie you watch, it's one you feel, experience, and remember.